and we're moving without help. We don't need no walking sticks, canes, and all that.
That's right.
So that's nothing but God. He 80, and I'm saying, see how the Lord bless us with longevity? 80-year-old man. Amen. He's still able to get up. We are not afraid. We're not people that old and man around. We got things to do. And God let us, we down here to be him, change the whole church up there. And we be down there all week, wax clothes. We enjoy fellowship. Get me and Bud Wilson down here working. And done a great job. Looking at it was nice. And we just work ourselves into the time straight up. But then went home, and then we had other activities. Why? Then
I
talked
to him.
Oh.
I told him. I was pushing. I was trying anyway.
Ain't nothing wrong with trying. I was trying to talk to you. She wasn't listening. Don't worry, they laugh at it over. Don't worry, they'll get ate and won't even be talking. Now, all right, let's go to book of Nehemiah. Nehemiah chapter 4, verse 6. Nehemiah chapter 4, verse, this will be a short service, so y'all better listen up. Glad to see the sound news.
Amen.
Amen. Y'all can make y'all see it all like it, then ain't nothing to do. But now I am thank God for increase. You know, I believe God will give us the increase, but we don't want to increase without obligations. We want people to come to this church to work, to want to work in the vineyard. Go into the vineyard and do what?
Work.
Whatever you earn, I'll give it to you. So God know that you're gonna work. He know you got a reward for us too, because we do work. And I'm gonna be happy because I'm gonna be glad to see people in the field with their backs down doing what they're supposed to do. Ain't nothing better than looking out there in the harvest and see laborers working. That is a beautiful sight to watch. Because now you're getting the harvest season.
Amen.
The harvest is what? Right. But the labors are still few. So God said, I wish that you would go into the harvest and work. Not to lay around now, Carlos. Go in there and do something. Now, so here is what Nehemiah is saying in his concern in relation to God. He said, so build we the wall. So build we the wall. And the wall was joined together unto the half thereof. For the people had a mind to work. Thank you, God. Amen. Listen to this stuff. So build we the wall. That was the responsibility. That's the reason why they were there. They went with Nehemiah. Nehemiah was a prophet who was in captivity and desired to go back to Jerusalem. You know, he heard that the wall had been destroyed. The city had been destroyed. And the wall was torn down. Now, what was this significant wall to protect the city? The city was built, and then they built a tower wall all the way around it. So the enemy couldn't just come in. And they posted guards on the wall to watch over the city so nobody could ease in and nobody could get over the wall. Because God was trying to protect his people. Amen? Amen. Now God is trying to protect you today. He put you in a position where he encamped all around you, angels that keep watch over you, to keep us safe from harm, hurt, from the danger. But here we built a wall, and the wall was joined together. Now, let's think about what a wall looked like. Now, supposing this was a wall, supposing you are a wall. Supposing you're a wall, and what kind of wall you think this be? All these different gaps in it? Oh, you think you can keep anybody out of here? So when you come together, why don't we build a wall where we can sit together and keep the enemy from coming in and sitting between us? So he said, join together unto the half thereof, for the people had a mind to work. What did people have a mind to do?
To work.
Work. So in Nehemiah days, Nehemiah was like I say, he was a prophet, and when they captured this the nation of Israel, they all went to captivity. Even as a captivity guy, he was a prophet praying to God every day. The one thing he had was a concern for the city of Jerusalem and the wall. And he would be so depressed every day because he really wanted to go back home to do something positive, like build a wall. But he was in prison. He was in captivity. So he couldn't just get out and go nowhere. You know, when you're in captivity, you cannot just go off and on your own. You have to ask the king.
That's right.
And the king probably gonna say no, because you're a prisoner. Nehemiah was a special person. If I were to use a subject for this, I'd say, what a man. I would probably say something like, what a man he was. Because Nehemiah, knowing he was in captivity, did not let that make him not care about truth. Now, in captivity now, Nehemiah's job was to become a wine tester. In captivity, even in captivity, you have something to do. You have a job. Ask the prisoners. Every prisoner who go to prison is not down there laying down, lifting weights that they look like they come back out. They all putting cotton. They are doing all kinds of work. They got to work in prison. Now, if I asked a guy one time when I was doing the counseling with him, I said, let me ask you a question. And how is it that you can go to prison for 10 and 20 years and come out and be a model inmate and come out here and don't want to work? How is that? You come out and you're lazy, don't want to work. But in prison, you do what you got to do every day.
Amen.
So Nehemiah was a wine tester. What that means was he would test the wine that the king would drink to make sure that nobody trying to poison the king. Because in prison, you have people that hate you, that hate the king. So as they back there preparing that wine, somebody might decide to put a arsenic in it. And the king fought dead, right? But that wouldn't happen because guess whose job it was to test the wine? Nehemiah. So he kicked over, you know something. Somebody just tried to poison the king. So Nehemiah would test the wine and then he would pass it on to the king. So Nehemiah gets very unhappy one time and decides that he's gonna put on a look. It's called a sad look. But he wanted to go back home to do something special for the people of God. Build a city, build a wall. And King Cyrus, who was the king at that time, saw his countenance and asked him, Nehemiah, what's wrong with you? Why are you so sad? Somebody talking about y'all. He stopped. Why is your country so sad? What's the problem? He said, "Oh, king," he said, I heard that the walls were down. And now I really want to go back home and do so. I want to go build up this wall. I want to go do something about church. How many of y'all really, during the weekday, you at home, and you living, got your mansion, and you laying back eating grapes with your wife? She throwing grapes up there. You catch them with your mouth. You talking about how bless you. But you never think about coming down to the church. Windstorm came up last week, blew through the whole light. See that thing up there? Where that light is? That thing blew off. And so I have to be down here doing something. And I discovered. Because I was where? At the church. If I hadn't been to church, then that thing that blew off now, it may be 2 days before we be back home. And it was raining inside the office there. When that tile went off the thing, there was nothing to hold the water, so now the water came down. It pays to sometimes to think about going to the temple. Just ride down to the temple every day. You'd be surprised at what can happen when you're not hooked. Now, there was a wall had collapsed, the city's roof had been destroyed, and now the people of God didn't have no protection. So Nehemiah knew that, so he was very concerned about getting back to Jerusalem just to make sure he can build up that wall. So what he did was, so the king decided to find out what was wrong with him. And when the king found out that he was sad because of that situation, the king had compassion on him. See, people don't, your job don't mind you taking our work to go to your church. If I was an employee and a member of mine come and say, Mr. Butler, can I take out work Monday to go down to my church and pray? Yeah, right down there, perfectly too. Some employers don't mind you serving God. Some employees know that they need God on their side. So if they got a godly man on the job, guess what they got? They got help. Because you be praying for the company to say it better when you can make your money, and that employee love your kind of work out. He know that prayer without God, prayer to God and trying to organize without God ain't gonna work. So if you are a Christian man, you work on a job, that job got assets, don't you? Yeah. You got somebody who pray. And everybody needs prayer.
Amen.
Everybody needs prayer. So King Cyrus say, hey, you know, that's a pretty good deal. You gotta take what I'm gonna do. He said, I'm going to organize you so you can go back home, but here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna give you my ring. I'm gonna give you my signet ring, and wherever you go, just show the people as you travel this ring. And they'll know that I'm sending you. Because Nehemiah left by him what? By himself. See, sometimes you have to go by yourself, man. Sometimes you have to make this trip on your own. Wife can't go with you all the time. Friends can't go. You got to make your mind that you gonna serve God for you.
All right.
Stop all this family stuff. Ain't no family in Jesus. It's you and Christ and you, and then you bring everybody else in. Sometimes you have to go on your own, man. Sometimes you have to get yourself up and get to where you need to go. Because why? God has put something in your heart to go do. So Nehemiah left there by himself. But as he went, amen, people began to inquire about where you going. And Nehemiah said, I'm going down to Jerusalem. And guess what they did? When they heard he was going on a mission to do something worthwhile, guess what they did? They joined in. See, people love to follow you and going somewhere to take care of some business. Where you going? I'm going to the crab house. Nobody want to fight that. They already been there. I mean, how many times I can go? So they're going to Jerusalem to build a wall, and so they say, well, let me go with you. And so they jumped in there, and then let you know another guy came. Then they know they had enough men to go to Jerusalem and build that entire wall. But he started with himself. He started with his own self, letting God direct his spirit, and he went on God's faith by himself, trusting God, and he looked back behind him, see signs and wonders do follow those that believe. So when he looked behind him, he saw all these men standing behind him going that way. So he kept on walking. Kept on going to the city. When they got to the city, though, he didn't know he had a whole army of men behind him. But when he got to the wall, they had enough men to put up 42 sections of fence.
Wow.
All because God was with him.
Yeah.
Amen.
Let me say this to you. I know you heard that. When God is for you, who in the world can be against you?
All right.
When God is for you, man, God just too big to anybody beat him at. He too big. He too powerful. And if he with you, then guess what? That's all you need. That's all you need. You know about that? They got to the fence. So Sanders, they all spread out along the fence for 42 sections. Here come the enemy. It's always going to be enemy waiting on you to do something good. So Sanballat and Tobiah, they partners. They come up and say, what y'all doing? And they said, well, we can't build a wall. They started laughing at them. Y'all not no carpenters, man. Y'all don't do no building. He said, if a fox come across, they gonna fall down. And then make fun of it. You know how your friends do? You trying to get to church, and they thought, boy, you need to come on, let's go wash our car. Then start calling you Holy Ghost when you're trying to hold church one time. They ain't gonna call your name like you. All of a sudden you about this church thing. So they began to mess with Nehemiah. And Nehemiah got a little concerned about it because they were messing with him. So Nehemiah told his people, he come on there and take a break. I want to tell y'all something. He said, what kind of weapon you got at home? One guy said, I got a gathering machine gun. One guy said, I got a sword. He said, go home and get your weapons, come back to the job, put your weapon down beside of you, just in case if they come up here again, while you building, then you can also fight. There's a time for peace and there's a time for war. When you are trying to serve God, there's a time for peace. Yes. There's a time for war. The devil comes not but to seek, kill, and destroy. But Jesus said, I have come that you might have life and have life more abundantly. So Nehemiah told his people, go get your weapon, come on back. But we're going to be praying for Sanballat and Tobias because they're not our enemies, they are God's enemies. And God's going to deal with his own enemies. Someone said, this is not my battle, it belongs to the Lord. Yeah. Even though you might have people messing with you, trying to make fun of you, just keep on praying to God and let God take care of them. Amen. So as they were going on about that building, later on they had built 42 sections of fence. He said because the people had a mind to work. And when you have a mind to do something for God, no enemy can take you out of that.
Yes, yes, yes.
See, the church needs workers in the vine, y'all. That's why someone asked me about coming on board and become a youth leader. I said, boy, you ain't say nothing but the word.
That's all right.
You ain't got to tell me one time you want to do something in church. You got that job. Only you get fired, you fire you. But we need to learn some people. God is looking for working minded people. He wants people that love him and love his calling, love his work, and love one another.
Amen. Amen.
And when that happens, you will see something impossible become possible.
Yeah.
We have a tradition down here in Mount Eagle. We don't have no lot of folks, don't have no lot of men. We got 3 or 4 men. But do you see anything going undone around here? Does it really matter to me how many men we got? It don't matter to me. Because God has given us wisdom and power and strength to do what we can do when we can do it.
That's right.
But we welcome help. But we don't wait on nobody. We do not give nobody that position where we think they good. We got to wait on you. Now God has empowered us with his spirit to move his church with a few people so we know who's moving. If we had 100 folks, if we move this church, we'll say, boy, we doing a good job. But when God is moving,
Come on.
we say God is doing a good job.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
God is doing a good job. So I want to encourage you this morning. Have a mind to work. Let him say, that man. What a man. What a woman. That love the Lord, that even when they don't feel like doing it, they're doing it. When they don't feel like doing it, they're doing it. When they get tired of hearing a bunch of mess, they keep on praying for the people.
Yeah.
Be that kind of man or woman that let God know, I am your servant.
Oh, yeah.
I love you with all my heart. And I know if I trust you, all things